We begin with the Bank of Ghana. It has directed all financial institutions to start accepting the Ghana card for identification purposes from the 1st of July this year. Now, this was contained in a notice issued by the central bank today. George Riafi has the details. Of course, we shall bring you details shortly, but in the meantime, we do know that this is part of measures by the central bank to, decentralize the information systems across all banks to ensure a smooth regulatory reform under the Ghana card regime. We shall fetch that one for you, but also coming up in this particular bulletin, we are learning that the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is mounting pressure on the Minister of State and Finance, Charles Edouard, over his comment on the benchmark value at the investiture of the new president of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, the minister is on record stating that the government will, after the broader consultation on the controversial benchmark value, make a final decision by the end of January. Well, we do have excerpts of their demands, as you could see on the screen. They're calling that the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edouard, be made to recuse himself from any stakeholder engagement on the matter going forward. Also, they're calling for an immediate retraction of the statement uttered by the Minister for State in that regard, describing that statement as shocking and also unacceptable. Well, we do have with us a member of the Association of Importers and Exporters, Samson Asaki Awengobit, join us via Zoom for more on their demands. We're grateful that you could join us. You are also stating the fact that any attempts by government to take sides on this matter will be fiercely fought against by the business community. What exactly do you mean by that? Do we have Mr. Awengobet on the line? Mr. Awengobet, we're grateful that you could join us. Of course, we have, had with us the correspondence that you've made via the press regarding some statement by the Minister of State. You're calling for his, him to recuse himself from the entire broader stakeholder consultation. You're also saying that any move by government to have its entrenched position on the matter will be fiercely fought. What is informing your stance on this matter?
Thank you very much. We are very much aware that the Minister of State at the presidency in charge of finance have the opportunity to be at AGI divestiture newly president-elected program yesterday, and the minister made certain categorical pronouncement. We are optimistic that we are of the view that the minister has shown bias. The minister is in bed with AGI. The minister, knowing that His Excellency the President has asked GRA to suspend the program and engage the stakeholders consultation. Since the letter came back on the 13th of this month, any Minister of State himself, nor the Minister of Finance, nor the agency under them, which is the GRA or the Custom Division, has picked the phone and called we, or has written a letter inviting us to any consultation. And so for him to have made mention that having the consultations and seeing the way forward, he thinks that by the close of this month, AGI will be happy. We strongly believe that he has taken a stance, and then we take excerpts about what he said. And we strongly believe that such a pronouncement has a tendency to compromise when we go to the negotiation table where he will be present. Since the issues cropped up, when we went to the finance ministry on the 6th of January 2022, the honorable minister wasn't there. It was the finance minister himself and one of his deputies, including management of finance and GRA management, led by the commissioner of custom. And so Honorable Edouard wasn't in that meeting. And since that very day, we left the Ministry of Finance. We have not gone back since the president spoke. That was on the 6th. The president made his statement on the 7th of January, 2022. And the GRA came out with a statement on the 13th of January, 2022. Since then, that's the last letter that came out from GRA asking for the suspension of the program and to do the wider consultation. As we speak, I have done cross-checking with my colleagues from Gutta, with my colleagues from GAVE, with my colleagues from Food and Beverage and others. there's nothing. Nobody has engaged anybody. So we are dismayed to have heard this coming from a minister of his status. And we strongly believe that His Excellency the President should call him to order. His pronouncement will bring crisis in this country. We think that he needs to apologize, render apology, retract his statement, and then we go. Then we are also calling the president that from the look of things, the way his minister is making public pronouncement, he should excuse himself when it comes to the time of the public consultation, because he has already taken stance. And so he has shown gross bias towards us, that he thinks that AGI will be the people to win at the end of the day. And so strongly, while he has taken a stance, we definitely have to also advise ourselves by calling on government to call his minister into order.
Well, Mr. Owingobe, of course, we have taken a paid keen attention to what the Minister of State actually stated. We're trying the best that we could to raise that particular clip, but nowhere did he state the fact that, of course, the AGI will be happy at the end of this. Of course, what we do know, as a matter of record, is that he stated at that investiture speech that the government is going to make a final decision when the broader consultation is made. But it begs the question, Samson, of course, you are all entering into this broader stakeholder engagement with specific stance on the benchmark policy. Government wants to rake in revenue. The AGI is making a case for local industries. Imported exporters are also making cases in their respective stance. You're all entering this particular viewpoint, this particular broader stakeholder engagement for a consensus to be reached. Government is just literally an arbiter. So where lie the case of the Finance Minister of State being biased towards the entire party, when indeed your parent agency, that's Guta, has made it also clear that they are not entering into this with an entrenched position, and whatever government comes up with at the end of the deliberations will be respected.
Okay. The Finance Minister or the Minister of State in charge of at the presidency is a referee, should be a referee in this regard. He should not go to our rival group and start making pronouncement, which he did. He should have known that if you come to the meeting, he can equally be asked to chair the meeting. And so, if assuming his statement, which I am, and as I gets played his voice this afternoon to me, and if you go to Ghana Web it has integrity. They can never lie what he said and what he didn't say. Ghana Web published the story, and I'm sure if you have also gone to read it. If you have his video, you can play the video from you can place on the excerpts where he made mention of AGI should be happy by close of this month. Government will take finality to this. As we speak, I'm telling you, as we speak, we haven't been called for any engagement since the 13th letter came out. And so for him to say that from the reading and making reference to stakeholders engagement, which stakeholder engagement, at where, which time, who did he invite it? You made mention of Guta. Guta is a collaborated union. Guta is a union on its own. Import and Export Association is a union on its own. But we came together as a joint consultative forum to discuss this issue. Yes, of course, we are not going to the round table with an entrenched position. But we definitely are going to the round table with issues. We are going to put forth challenges confronting the business community, telling government that some of the taxes that you've introduced from 2020 to 2022, as we speak now, coupled with the Ghanaian purchasing power. Just 3 days ago, I'm sure you heard GRA made a publication of the revenue that they rake for the year. And you can go and look at the figures. You will realize that a chunk of the revenue GRA hit and exceeded target is coming from the trades. It's coming from traders. It's coming from the importers. And so before you make a statement, you have to carefully look. And at the venue, the platform in which he made the statement, he's increasing their morale. He's increasing he's encouraging them that, look, at the end of the day, government is in bed with you. Government is going to give you your leeway. Government is not going to listen to importers and exporters association. Neither they will listen to my colleagues from Guta. That is what is happening. Because I can tell you, if the president said suspend the program, engage wider, since 13th to date, I'm making reference to the 13th letter, the 13th of January 2022 letter that came from GRA. We have not met. Who are those stakeholders that he's talking about? His reference that he was making, from where? At which meeting? Who chaired the meeting? Who was present? These are the questions we are asking. I am telling you, the importers are contributing to the socio-economic growth of this country.
All right,
In fact,
but moving forward, Samson, you have made demands. What if these demands are swept under the carpet and not really addressed? What happens then for the consultative engagement?
I don't think the demands we are making will be swept under the carpet. If by close of the month, today is on the 19th, I believe, or yes, today is on the 19th. I believe strongly that the month is going to have a few days to go. You have not met this, and so by the end of the day, by the end of the month, if they have not made any finality, if the government has not made any pronouncement, do you think AGI will be sitting down and will ask you? They refer to him that you came to our meeting, you came to our program, you promised
so
us.
Will you still partake of the broader consultative, engagement, even if your demands are not met?
If you go to the consultative forum and Honorable Chair Adubayan will be in the meeting, I will excuse myself. If you go to the meeting and Honorable Adubayan will be the one chairing the meeting, I will excuse myself. Before we will excuse ourselves, we will ask him to excuse himself first, because he has taken a stance. He can't chair such a meeting when he's biased towards us. It means that he's already shown bad faith towards us, and we cannot sit such a meeting with him. So he will have to excuse himself first, and if he's dreaming to become the chair of that meeting and make a certain pronouncement, we think that he has made such a reckless statement for not engaging stakeholders and then going to the other rap group and started making pronouncements on certain things. We strongly believe that his statement is so biased. It doesn't ought to come from a statesman like him. And we strongly believe that the president should call him to order, because he's creating problem now.
All right.
From now where I sit, everybody, the mood in the business community is that, the government has already made up their mind. They are not even going to engage you people. As the letter purporter saying that we suspend it and then engage the stakeholders widely.
All right. Your concerns have been made clear, and of course we shall be looking forward to how things pan out, especially when you're warning the Association of Importers and Exporters, warning, as you just heard in that interview, to recuse themselves from the consultative meeting regarding the benchmark value if the Minister of State for Finance, Charles Dubois, is seen chairing, citing claims of bias against the Importers Association. We shall keep an eye on this. But moving on, the Food and Allied Workers Union has expressed fears that many more manufacturing firms may consider shutting down if government does not allow the reversal of the benchmark discount on some imported items. Wilmar Africa last week announced a shutdown of one of its palm oil production plants in the country, citing the benchmark discounts and challenging economic conditions. Well, the General Secretary of FAO, Ken Kumsin, says about 50,000 workers risk losing their jobs if the government does not do the needful. He joins us with more. Of course, grateful to have you on the program. What is the current state of Wilmar producers of fried oil, especially when we have seen your manufacturing plant being shut down?
Well, thank you very much. I want to express gratitude to the Joy platform and also to the listeners for giving us such attention to address these issues. Currently, the company is shut down after they notified the union of an intention to shut down. The shutdown is in respect of the 25-liter oil, which is the major liter that brings in the revenue to the company. Now, what you must understand is that from the plantation up until the plant, you have about 50,000 employees who are in that chain, from the outgrower to the smallholder to the milling plant, processing of the palm oil, the oil palm into palm oil, which also then is processed into vegetable oil. Throughout that chain, from the plantation up onto the plant, we have almost about 50,000. Now, what you must also understand is this, that the byproduct of the palm oil, the crude palm, is a fatty substance we call serine. This is what is used in the production of margarine. So it tells you that there is also an impact as far as the margarine plant and all the employees who work in the margin plants are concerned. Again, the byproduct of the crude palm is also used in the production of soap detergent, which means that Unilever and the Africa consumer and all those employees within that supply chain are going to be affected. Now, the current situation we have in the company is that all the tanks in the company are full. We are talking about 5,000 metric tons capacity tanks multiplied by about 15 tanks in the company, which is currently filled. That means that you cannot continue to buy or transport from the plantation. What that means essentially is that if you cannot import, if you cannot buy from the plantation, it means those farmers in Western region who are involved in the growing, in the processing and transportation are going to lose their job. What you must understand is that in the rural community, the plantation represents one of the major industrial activities
Indeed.
in the Western region. So what we are talking about here, we are not into game. We are talking about real numbers and the impact on jobs and the impact on livelihood,
especially
and the impact on the revenue that's supposed to be given paid to government.
Especially on direct and indirect jobs. We do get that premise there. But Mr. Koomson, we do understand the impact of this decision that you've taken on jobs directly and indirectly. Has there been any response from government since the press conference?
As I speak to you now, we have not yet received any response after the press conference on the 14th, which was a day after the directive from DRA. But we are still optimistic that government will certainly act in accordance with its own resolution on this policy. Let me add quickly that the 2022 budget that was submitted to Parliament and approved consequently clearly indicated that there has been the suspension of the 50% benchmark for one reason. The reason is so government can mobilize sufficient resources to be able to fund its 2022 budget. That tells you clearly that government has undertaken its own research, investigation, and has come to the conclusion that the contribution of this company to national development, to job security, the protection of livelihood, far outweigh any importer who imports any product which is being sold locally. Again, I must put on record that government agenda on the 3 crops, which identifies 6 crops, are all part of government initiatives to ensure that we move out from importation to industrialization. What you must understand, nowhere in the world has any economy developed, grown, with depending on import.
Indeed.
It has always been industrialization.
Yeah, indeed. That remains the argument as well of the Association of Ghana Industries, of which I believe you're a strong member of. But of course, Ken Koomson, you have explained to us extensively the impacts of jobs. And of course, we're also going to be seeing some impact on your profit margins as well. Help us understand in clear terms this decision to shut down your plant. Will it be an irrevocable one, even though government is currently having a broader consultative engagement? Should it not go in your favor?
The analysis that is being done currently is that with the 50% discount that has been offered to importers, renders the sale of the fried cooking oil in Ghana, and not just Wilma. Avenat is there, and all the other companies that directly benefit from the crude, from the raw materials, which is the derivative of the CPO, which is the crude palm oil. All these companies are at risk and at stake of losing jobs, and my emphasis is jobs. My emphasis is the opportunities, the employment opportunities that are out there. Again, you must also understand that it is even far bigger than that. We are talking about an industry that offers research, intentions that are being carried out by students and so on and so forth. So the fact of the matter, the crux of the matter here is that We have done a copious analysis of the impact of a shutdown of a processing plant and its consequences on the supply chain. Let us not even try to politicize this issue. We are talking about real jobs. There are about 50,000 workers who risk losing their job just because of benchmark policy. I don't want to go into the legality or not of the benchmark policy because by Section 67, 68, 69 of the Customs Act 2015, passed by the previous regime, clearly speak or make offense, clearly talks about the benchmark policy being an offense, being an ill policy, and discourages anybody from even adopting benchmark policy. You have to understand even what the benchmark policy is all about. We don't know whether it is a rebate policy or what it is. But benchmark policy in itself, legally speaking, it offends the WTO rules. It offends the World Customs Organization rules. It is an offense to any international rule as far as trade is concerned. So I want us to look at this carefully. This is the same problem since 1960, when Kwame Nkrumah involved the development, construction of businesses, companies in Ghana. The reasons that resulted in the collapse of Tema Food Complex, the textile industry, the sugar industry, the rubber plant, is the same problem we are dealing with. It has to do with policies that are dangerous, that are inimical, that are destructive, policies that have been passed by the successive government that have rendered our economy jobless, and the youth, the teeming youth, flying the street with no jobs. Why?
Yeah, we feel the arguments that you've raised, and of course, we continue to engage, stakeholders like yourself, especially when broader consultation is ongoing. Ken Kumsin, General Secretary of the Food and Allied Workers Union, of course, relating to matters of the benchmark value. You're still watching Marketplace with me, Charles Aite. We're going for a short break. Do stay with us. Well, we shall still keep an eye on the benchmark value, especially when government is having a constitutive meeting with all stakeholders. You've heard from the key stakeholders today, the Association of Importers and Exporters. You've also heard from the various manufacturing firms who are citing the risk to job losses as one of the major factors that government should consider as it revisits the matter of the benchmark value. We shall keep an eye on this to give you updates in our subsequent bulletins. But for more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.